Today I'm doing some work preparing for queen breeding season, and the preparations get started a lot sooner than actually starting to graft queens and put cells in mating nukes. What I'm doing today is I'm trying to get some frames ready to make my mating nukes. I guess I'm about 3 weeks out from that. And I've been using the Man Lake little mini mating nukes, the double ones made out of foam, and they take the mini frames. And one of the challenges for me is getting those mating nukes started. Kind of the traditional way of doing it is just to take about 1.5 cups of bees and dump them in each section with feed and foundation. But a lot of times it seems like those bees want to abscond, or they want to drift over to other nucleus colonies. And I found that starting a mating nuke without any brood, the bees seem to be less likely to accept queen cells. And so last year I started experimenting with actually getting queens to start laying in the mini mating nuke frames, and then using those to make my mating nucleus colonies. And it worked pretty well, so I'm going to be doing that for this round of queens coming up in spring. And I have one of these boxes on a colony that has the mini frames, and so I'm going to open this colony up and give you a look at what I'm talking about. So here it is. And so this is just a medium super with a little dividing board in the middle, and these frames fit nicely into it. And so I have 20 frames in here, which allows me to make a lot of splits. And I don't have an excluder, so the queen can get up here and start laying. So I'm seeing already from the top, I'm seeing a lot of feed in here. I want to see if this queen is laying in here. Take a couple of these frames out. It's been a while since I've been in here. They're stuck together pretty good. There we go. So that one just has a bunch of honey. Bunch of capped honey. Not sure if there's any brood in here or not. These are kind of look like they're all honey bound, but that's all right. I can still use these for feed frames in my little mini splits. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to make up some more of these boxes and get enough so I can have all the frames I need to get my nucleus colonies made in about, I don't know, 3 to 4 weeks. They'll be getting made. Had a cold front come in last night. It's pretty cold and windy out today. I'm going to be working inside, getting some more frames built, and I've been getting prepared for queen breeding season. I actually just got a pretty good order of queens yesterday, so I'm excited to have a goal for as far as dates and number of queens coming up soon. Next month I'm going to get started with grafting, and so I've just been working on getting all my stuff together, getting my calendar planned out. Yesterday I made some new queen grafting or cell frames. I use these for grafting the cells into. This one takes 3 bars. I'll put the little queen cups in here, and then they slide in these slots. And then I painted the tops blue and put a GF for grafting frame, just so that I can easily identify when I open a cell starter colony which frame has the queen cells in it. What I'm going to be doing next is I got a bunch of the mini frames for the mini mating nukes that I'm going to be assembling, and I'm excited. A new season's coming. Gonna be making more queens than I have in the past. That's the plan. It seems like word's getting out. A lot of people are liking my queens, and so I've had a lot of requests for queens, and the local Beekeepers Association just ordered 50 queens for springtime. So I'm gonna get cracking on them. So these are my unassembled pieces for my mini mating nuke frames. And I had these in a storage container that was really leaking over the summer. So they got a lot of water on them. They look super old, a little nasty, the dead spider. But I'll get these cleaned up and they'll work fine. So I'm gonna run up to one of my storage units. This is a dry storage unit, not the leaky shipping container, and I have a few of the mini mating nukes I want to bring over here, and I'm gonna experiment painting them with spray paint this year rather than using a brush. I saw another beekeeper on YouTube doing it. Seemed to work pretty well and take a lot less time. A little bit of a hold up here. Got a bolt in my tire, second one this week. All right. See if that's gonna hold. Bingo. It's always something. So here are these Man Lake double mating nukes. These ones have been in storage for about 3 years. They have two sides, and then they have feeders as well with queen excluders so the queens can't get into the feeders. And then the entrances are here. Slide up. I usually put a little thumbtack here to make sure they don't slide down on their own when they're being used. And I also found some more frames that are in good condition for these. So that is good considering I lost some in that other storage unit. So these will last a lot longer with paint on them. So I'm going to try spray painting them. Before I always just use latex paint with a brush. But I'm going to see if this works and if it's faster. There we go. That worked pretty good. A lot easier than brushing it on. Something else I'm doing here is just putting different patterns on the front of each side here. And it has been proven that bees are really good at not only recognizing certain colors, but also different shapes and patterns. And so the thought is just, this might help a little bit with queens coming back to the right colonies. Have some frames made up. There it is. Got one ready to go. And some of the, I guess, pros to these that I've found is you can get queens mated using a lot less resources. I used to use the queen castles that would either use 2 to 3 frames of deep frames with foundation, and that just takes a lot of resources from my production colonies. So my main focus is producing honey, local honey, and so I don't want to be splitting my colonies too aggressively to make queens or to get queen nukes going, queen mating nukes. But these I found They're a little tricky to get started, but when I get them started, I'm not really using many resources at all from my production colonies. These just kind of keep going, and they actually grow out of these pretty quick, and so you can split from these after you've run a couple cycles of queens and add more of these double mating nukes to the queen breeding operation. So that's the benefit that I've found. Some of the other cons are that bees do tend to swarm pretty quickly if they outgrow this little bitty mini nuke. Also, I've heard from others that robbing can be an issue. I haven't experienced that myself where I'm at. There seems to be enough nectar that the bees usually don't get too robby, except for in the fall time. And even so, I have some mating nukes that went through the fall time next to a production yard, and they didn't get robbed out. They did pretty well. So I like them as long as I get them set up right. I'm going to re-wax the foundation on those mini mating nukes. And so I just have some buckets of wax that I just melted down once. This hasn't been cleaned. I'm going to use this rather than using the stuff I've worked real hard to make clean for candles and stuff, and just get a little fresh beeswax on there so that the bees draw it out better. Now I'm going to start getting these frames waxed. Just rolling a little extra beeswax on them. With these frames being in storage so long, I'm not sure how the factory wax is on them. And this is just going to help out the bees be able to draw out comb easier. There it is. Now that I have all my frames waxed, they're going to go into medium supers with the divider board. And then these are going to get put on really strong production colonies right over the brood nest with no queen excluder, so the queen can go up and start laying eggs. The bees will begin drawing these out. And so I'm going to get these frames finished on big strong colonies, and then from there make my splits with these into the mini mating nukes. And each one of these supers will hold 20 frames, 10 on each side.